The worst setup edition is coming in just 5 more episodes, guys, which means the submissions are now open for the worst setup edition. So if you guys have a potato setup and want to participate for a chance to win $100, make sure you guys grab your camera and start taking pictures of your setup. Make sure to send me at least 10 pictures in very good lighting, so very good quality pictures, please. And make sure you guys list everything in the notes that is part of your setup. The desk, monitor, keyboard, mice, everything that's on your desk. Send it to setupwars@gmail.com. You guys have 2 to 3 weeks to send in your potato setup. But anyways, with that said, welcome to Setup Wars episode 115, budget edition. Let the Setup Wars begin. As always, let me clarify, the budget edition is not broke edition. It's basically people who build setups based on a budget. Instead of going with the 1080, they go with a 1060. Instead of going with 3 monitors, they only go with a single monitor. So basically, these setups were built with a budget in mind. So with that said, let's begin the show. Starting off the show, we got Ian with a pretty simple black and white setup. He's rocking a 24-inch monitor from BenQ and the Logitech Atlas keyboard and G502 mouse, which by the way is custom painted. It's interesting that he doesn't have a mouse pad though. I love how he hid his boom arm in the back of the monitor, which is holding the BM800 microphone. Very nice choice on the placement there. There's also symmetry in the setup. Notice how he added those 3 banners on each side of the acoustic foams. Also, the Mega Man Pixel and the Samsung wireless charger contribute to the symmetry of the setup. Very nice. For audio, he's rocking a pair of Logitech Z200 speakers, the Snow White edition, and the popular M50Xs that are hanging from the side of the desk. Oh, and speaking of the desk, it's actually custom made. I just love the wiring job of the keyboard and mouse, and the cables behind this PC. The rest of the wires are not visible, but I'm gonna assume that he did a great job. And speaking of the PC, it's got an i5-3330 and a GTX 1050. This is definitely a clean budget setup. Thank you, Ian, for starting out the show. Ithamar is next up with his Kylo Ren themed setup. I love that Kylo Ren mural you got up there, but it kind of looks a bit crooked and I feel like it's a bit too high up there. There's definitely a lot of empty space between the monitor and the painting, but that's just my 2 cents. He's rocking a 28-inch Samsung monitor and the Genesis CX55 keyboard and mouse combo. The symmetry is kind of ruined from that Trust GXT speaker that's sitting on top of the PS4, but it's not really a big deal. In fact, what you can do to fix that is to put the PS4 under your monitor. Just pick up a cheap monitor stand like this one, for example, and put your monitor on top of it and your PS4 under it. That will give you some extra space on the right side and you don't have to place your speaker on the PS4. Aside from the Trust speakers, he does have the Logitech G230 gaming headset off to the right side, resting on the acrylic stand. Cable management is really good, but I'm kind of curious as to why you picked up a Signum rack if it's not holding up anything significant. It's literally holding up a few wires, which I think is overkill. A channel raceway would have been a better option for you. And finally, the PC he is using is equipped with a 6500 and a GTX 1060. Overall, not bad. It's organized for the most part, but does need a few tweaks to improve. Regardless, thank you Ithamar for entering. Sometimes it's good being on a budget. It forces you to be creative and build things yourself if you don't have the money in the first place. Like Kacper, for example, and his interesting custom PC that he built from steel and laser cut acrylic. I'm sure it's got outdated specs, but it looks pretty damn cool. It's also interesting to see fans outside of a case. The setup, on the other hand, is pretty basic and straightforward. We got the 22-inch Yamaha monitor, which he happened to overclock to 75 Hz. Would you look at that? And a wireless keyboard and mouse from Logitech. The only audio source he's got are those Creative T20 speakers, and the cable management is under control thanks to the cable box and some zip ties. It may be a basic setup, but it's clean and it works. Thank you, Kacper, for entering. I don't think there's another setup out there that truly belongs on this budget episode of Setup Wars. When you look up the definition of budget, this is the picture that you are presented with. So apparently Max blew his entire budget on his PC and had only $10 left in his pocket, which he ended up spending on 3 CRT monitors from Craigslist. I'm pretty sure the custom-made monitor stands came with the purchase. That looking marvelous. So aside from the beautiful displays, he's using the Corsair K70 keyboard and the M65 mouse that's sitting on top of a crappy-ass mouse pad that he bought from Fry's. You seriously are on a budget. For audio, he's rocking the Polaroid Audio Tower, which is quite possibly the ugliest speaker I have ever seen. He also has the SteelSeries Arctis 5 gaming headset. Seriously though, I can't believe he got all those 3 monitors for just $10. Talk about a steal. Surprisingly, his cable management isn't bad considering he is using a glass desk, but it kind of looks like there's a lot of stuff going on back there, and I feel like he took pictures at a perfect angle not to show any of that clutter. Sneaky bastard. And finally, the PC that's somehow magically powering this setup is a custom loop inside the Thermaltake P5 case. It's rocking a 7700K that's overclocked to 4.9 GHz and not one but 2 GTX 1080 Ti's in SLI, because we all know that one isn't enough to power those 3 very demanding monitors. A very budget-friendly setup. Thank you, Max, for entering and also for teaching us how to spend our money on gear. Last but not least is Paul and his ultra clean white and black setup featuring a 27-inch Asus monitor. We also got the CM Quickfire Rapid keyboard with custom keycaps and the M65 Pro mouse. This is actually the first time that I've seen a black extended mousepad with white edges, and I think you made a great choice here with the white on black contrast. It's very beautiful. There was a bungee holding up the wire for the M65, and we also got a basic stereoscopic mic on the left side for audio input. For output, we got a pair of MX30s hanging from the wall. I'm not sure what's going on with that wire though. Flawless work on the cable management underneath the desk. This is actually a great example of someone not using a Signum rack or a channel raceway for cable management. All he used were Velcro straps to keep the cables together and hidden. Nicely done. The white on black contrast is very nice and he kept it consistent throughout the setup. The PC is no exception with the black and white sleeving and the fans. I also like how he matched the color of the logo on the GPU to his LED lights. It's very subtle, but it looks nice. I don't know if I agree with your poster above your setup though. I mean, I get that it's Star Wars related, but it's kind of messing with your color scheme. I feel like the popular Stormtrooper wall art would fit perfectly, but other than that, it's a very clean setup. Thank you, Paul, for entering. So that is it for this episode. Make sure you guys drop your comments down below and vote on who you think has the best desk setup. As always, I'll announce the winners on my Twitter and Instafail accounts. Make sure to follow me there if you guys want to. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.